if you had to talk to us about your most difficult preaching moment, what would that be?
It was my most difficult just because of the context. You're the one in the family who preaches, and so you're called to do all the family stuff. So when my mom died, she was a member of a Baptist church in Kansas City. And my sister called and she said, Teresa, you understand that you're going to preach a eulogy, but it's a Baptist church. I said, okay. When I got to the church, the pastor wasn't there, but all the ministerial staff was there. And they said, we were here to keep you out of the pulpit. This was in 2000. I preached my mother's eulogy at the foot of her casket on the floor of a church. And it was difficult because it was my mother, but also because I had to understand, again, what I've been teaching my students, that all ground is holy ground, so it didn't matter where I was standing. And when I finished, my grandmother said, you did what God wanted you to do. It doesn't matter where you stand, just preach. So my sermon, Just Preach, came out of that. That my womanist sensibilities was, no, I need to be in the pulpit. This is my mom, how much you disrespect her wishes was there. But at the moment that it was time to do it, God said, just stand. And that was the most difficult. It wasn't when I preached before 10,000 people. It wasn't when I'm preaching in Europe. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was all the emotions that came to pass. And so it was, okay, am I going to fight this fight now, or I'm going to honor my mother? And it was honor my mother, because I could live another day to fight, right? And so even though when I started out, I remember the content of some of my sermons were, and it was almost an apologetic for being a woman who was preaching, and God calls everybody. And then it's like God smacked me upside my head. That's really an academic kind of term, right? And God said, I didn't ask you to say all that. I told you to go do this thing. And so it was understanding that if I let God do all the social political stuff about me preaching, and I just preach wherever, then I've done what God tells me to do. So that was difficult. So I think that I can preach anywhere after that. And I can preach anything. It's never been about content, because most people know I'm going to do that social justice thing. That's me. That's my passion. My preaching passion has to do with inclusivity and the beloved community and world that I think is in the biblical text in places, because we understand in the biblical text there are some exclusion, but they're in places. But that's my passion. That's what I'm called to do. So that doesn't even bother me anymore. I can talk about anything. I can go against church law and talk about something that I really think God wants. That's not hard. It was that moment, and it was defining for me because I represented for my family who my mother was, who always told me I could do everything. I represented for my family someone they had put trust in. And my brothers are ready to fight if I was going to fight, but why tear up something? So I'm going to let, I always tell people, I don't have to argue about being a woman in ministry anymore. I'm going to wait till the rapture and let God explain it to me. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. I don't have to fight that battle.